Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for joining us today. Our episode on how to secure admission or how to work in Ivy League school. So, our normal tradition, feel free to just pop in the chat your name and where you're joining in from. So those on Facebook were saying hello to you. Those on LinkedIn, hello to you. And those on YouTube here with us, hello to you all. Thank you once again for joining in. So our host for today is not available, so I'll be hosting for today. My name is Ejiro Matilda Ikoko. I'm a PhD student, University of Leeds, and today we have two amazing speakers here with us. So we're going to start with ladies first. So, Charity, please can you just quickly introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you very much, Ejiro. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching me from. My name is Charity Ainobi Asekare. I am currently a doctoral researcher at Brunel University, London. And my doctoral research is looking at working with young people in Nigeria to prevent tobacco smoking through health communication. And I'm working with them using a participatory methodology. Aside that, I'm also currently a research assistant at King's College London, and we're also doing similar research that is very similar to my doctoral research. So thank you very much. Nice to be here.
That is lovely. Thank you so much. Now let's go to Francis. Oh my God, I'm always like feeling happy when I'm calling Francis name because we have our own our own discussion. So Francis, please introduce yourself and thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good day. I'm Dr. Francis Ayomo. I'm a doctoral researcher at the University of Oxford and the Nuffield Department of Primary Healthcare. I'm doing research on primary healthcare in Nigeria, particularly looking at task shifting for maternal health services. So basically, trying to understand how healthcare workers navigate the use of the tax shifting approach to deliver services and how the tax shifting policy has played a role in all that, what's working and what's not working, so that we could make recommendations to improve the delivery and access to maternal health services within primary healthcare settings. So I'm happy to be here. I'm not lucky to have a plum job like Charity with King's College.
So I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but happy to share my insights and support as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Since everybody talked about the research, so let me talk about my own research also. So my research is on I'm looking at women mobility needs in sub-Saharan Africa and how we can like co-design a solution to meet their everyday mobility needs to mobility as a service. So I can see we have people on LinkedIn. I'm looking at the LinkedIn page with my phone, and we have people on Facebook. So please feel free to drop your name. Let's see what your journey in from. Okay, so we'll not be alone in this discussion. So let's go straight into the business for today. We are expecting one more speaker, and I think he's kind of occupied, but he's going to join in. So when he does, we'll have an introduction. So back to our discussion for today. So I don't know. Let's start with this. Some people are kind of scared. They don't even consider Ivy League school. Like, no, this is not for me, or this is like a mountain. But I think before we touch that, could you just quickly maybe help us in your own words, so your own understanding what are Ivy League schools? Just help people understand for those that are very new to what that means. Charity, Francis, anyone can start. It's fine.
Okay, so from my understanding, the Ivy League schools or the Russell Group schools, whichever term you would be calling it, if you're in the UK here or in the US, it's all about schools that are known for strong academic research, really having that rigor behind research, and just being top tier when it comes to having won grants, research grants, based on the resources, human resources they have. Most of those schools have strong partnerships, networks that is far reaching out from even within the countries where they are based. So I think the Russell Group schools within the UK are, I think, 24, and Oxford and King's College London happen to be one of those. Yes. So this is my um brief overview of what Russell Group schools are for the UK. Then for the US, like I was told previously, is Brown University, I think Cornell University, but yeah, I'm not sure how many. But irrespective of whether the Russell Group or the Ivy League schools, these are just top tier schools that have strong academic research, capacities, resources, funding, you name it, they have it all.
Okay, thank you so much. And Dr. Francis?
Trying to, okay. Sorry, I was trying to unmute.
Okay.
Yeah. So, sorry, I missed the question. You were asking about
So,
Ivy League.
yeah. So you was an Ivy League school, or was it Russell school? So you, yeah. What do you understand?
Uh,
Like, what people that don't understand, yeah.
well, I think the Ivy League schools are just a group of schools that are recognized as being top tier, and schools that have a very good reputation, whether you look at it from the angle of their ranking or the achievements of their alumni or the quality of their research or the amount of endowments or financial resources they have both for their school and for their research. So it's a combination of multiple factors, but I think the overall combination of these is that they are prestigious schools, and they are schools that somehow, once it's seen that you studied there or worked there, everyone looks at you twice, like, wow, that is a place to be. And somehow it also has creates that sense of these places are difficult to get into because of that, I don't know, exclusivity, because it looks almost like everyone wants to go there. So to go there now, the competition is so hard, and you have to be among the 1%. Well, that's the way it seems to look. And then if not, you can't get in. So usually once you are either schooling or working there, then you are considered to be someone exceptional. So on the average, I think most people want to go to an Ivy League school, not just because of the reputation of the school, but sometimes because of the perception it creates that, oh, you're an exceptional person. And somehow I think because of that, call it bias, it tends to open doors because everyone just has that belief that for you to have gone there, for you to work there, you're exceptional. There's something about you before they let you school there or work there. And so sometimes it gives you some advantage over people that didn't go to what we consider Ivy League schools. So just like Charity said, in the UK, the Russell Group schools seem to be in that category. And then in the US, there's I think, a standard list of what is considered Ivy League. But across, I think the simple way, sometimes I say one of the ways to know if a school is what you consider Ivy League, just look at the global ranking of universities across the world and maybe be talking about in each region, any school that is within top 20 in that region is automatically a top tier school and could be considered Ivy League. But I know that there are some nuanced differences that are used for the classification. So let me stop there and hand over to Ejiro.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. She actually touched the second part of my question, so I'll just kick it off from there. So I know we're looking at both in terms of admission for people coming to school. I was looking in terms of people coming to do like a jobs or something like that in the school. So you can actually speak from any dimension is fine. So let's go to the next question, which is let's call it 2 in 1 questions. Why are people scared, or rather who can go to an Ivy League school either for admission or possibly to work. Yeah, it's just it's kind of open. So whatever dimension you want to address it from, you're free. Anyone can start. It's open.
Dr. Francis, should I go? Okay, thank you. I didn't hear you, but I'll take that as a go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, go
you.
ahead, please. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So I'll be taking it up from the working perspective. So disclaimer, I'm not a full-time staff. I'm just let me use the word a part-time staff at the moment. Yes. So um I believe to be able to assess schools like that, it's basically the same thing you would need to assess any other schools. Your skills and your experience. There's really no difference.
Mm,
But I think a huge how you organize that skill and that experience would play a huge part in being able to assess that environment. So I'll use myself as a case study. I saw the advert for a particular study and I saw the alignment it had with my current doctoral research, and I decided to go for it. But I didn't just plunge in, so to speak. I knew this is like we're using the word, I think we've decided to use the word a top tier school. I knew I
yeah.
had to bring my sort of my A game and ensure I still have a fair playing field. So I used the available resources around me. And one of those was liaising with the careers consultant in my school, which I had access to as a doctoral researcher in Brunel. And lucky for me, it's free. I can book an appointment with a careers consultant and they would help me with my CV, with my cover letter. So I used the available resources that I had access to ensure that my skills, my experiences are well presented to give me a strong um, position to be at the table eventually. And I was able to get there. I did the CV, the cover letter, filled all the necessary question in the online portal, and then I think it was about 2 weeks later I got an email saying I have been invited for interview. So, yes, skills, skills and experience is the same thing. There's no difference about that aspect, but probably the way you arrange those skills, the way you present those experiences, and then utilizing all the support you can get, especially support from organizations or people who are aware of what they would be looking out for would go a long way to help you. So that's my own take on the question. Thank you.
Okay, this is quite interesting because I was about to ask a question of what about people that don't have support or resources, but let's keep it, let's allow Francis to continue. We'll get back there.
Okay, so if I recall correctly, the question is who can go to these schools? Is that the question?
Yeah, yeah, either as work to work there or to school. So any dimension is fine, just your thoughts.
Okay, so I'll be blunt.
Okay, please be.
The general answer will be anybody. At the same time, it's not anybody. Um, you so when I say anybody on this call can aspire to go to an Ivy League school and do it. The question is, at the moment, do you have what it takes to get into an Ivy League school? Maybe not. But can you get it? It's possible. So if at the moment you don't have what is required, then of course you can't get in. It's not a thing of wishing and hoping. No, they have laid down things they are looking for, which if you don't have, then you can't get in. But however, if you have all that it's required, then there's a high likelihood that you'll get in. But always remember that it's competitive. So no
Yeah,
matter how good you are, there's a chance that you may just fall through the cracks. But the good thing about Ivy League schools is that if you miss one, you definitely get the other once you have the minimum criteria that they sort of require. And so back to the question of who, it's now for you to identify what is it that makes you a potential candidate to either study or work in an Ivy League school. And the summary is simple. You have to be exceptional. They are looking at three things basically for any Ivy League, well, both school or institution. One, they're looking at where are you coming from. So they're going to look at if whether you're working or you're schooling, where have you worked before? What were you able to do? If you're as a student, where have you studied before? So if you are coming from one Ivy League school already, there's already a chance that you get into another Ivy League school. So for example, you did your master's in an Ivy League school, there's a chance you get a PhD in an Ivy League school because it already looks like you've ticked some of the boxes for you to have gotten to the first one. However, it doesn't matter if you didn't go to an Ivy League school previously. We all started from somewhere before we got to where we are. So whether you've never worked in one or schooled in one, you can get into one. But that's one of the things they check. Where are you coming from? So when I mean that, I mean not just where you worked or where you schooled. What's your background? What does your background align with the role, either as a student or as a staff? Does your background show that exceptionality? Are you among the top 10% in your class as a student or as a staff in your previous job? Can, from your CV or from the interview, can you show the value you added as a staff that made you among the top 10% in that organization that will make them want to have you in their own organization? Basically, they need to be able to predict the value that you bring. Now, that's where you're coming from. Now, where you are, then based on their interaction with you and where you are coming from, they need to also be able to estimate the value that you bring to them. So basically, and you would have to say that in your cover letter and in your CV and maybe during your interview. Because if you cannot sell yourself well for them to see that you are a high value candidate, either as a staff or a student, then you won't get in. Somebody who is less than you, but is able to express and package himself better, we get the job. Because again, this thing is a perception thing. Many a times, there are no exams per se, or even though there are exams, maybe like depending, maybe for students that want to do maybe MBAs or whatever, maybe GMAT, IELTS, even after the exams, there's still a long competitive queue there. So at the end, there's still going to be some perception. They're going to use their perception somewhat to make up their mind of whether you're going to be a high value candidate and make things good for them in the organization. So you need to know how to sell yourself as someone that's going to add value. The last thing they sometimes want to see, both for students and staff, is where you are going to. So sometimes they want to be able to see that, okay, this person, they want to be able to see that, okay, this person that I am funding or as a student, or this person that I am trying to give a space as a staff is on track to do some big things later on. They want to be able to predict that if they give you that job or if they give you that admission, in the next few years, you could be a valuable alumnus as a former staff, or you're going somewhere so that they can have some sort of bragging rights that, this person was our student or this person was our staff. I don't know if you get that. So I'll stop here and hand over the baton. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We could just keep going to the next question. So, but before we go further, I want to say I can see people on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube, but nobody send hi to us. Please say hi to us. Let's know where you're joining in from. Don't be shy. Just say hi to us. And while we were speaking, we had David joining in the discussion. So, can you quickly just introduce yourself? Then we actually discussing about who can work in an Ivy League school, who can be admitted. So just that's where we are at the moment. Just briefly, so we can move on.
Hello, everyone. My name is David Michael, and I am so pleased to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. I was so elated and excited to hear Dr. Francis drop those strategic punchlines. But yeah, I would add to that shortly. But just to wrap up my introduction, I'm currently doing my research assistantship. I'm currently working at a lab based in Oxford University, It's at the Institute of Developmental Biology and Regenerative Medicine. So that's like I have a genetic background, and I did my master's at Imperial College London. So yeah, I don't know if there is anything more I need to add to that introduction, but
No, it's
assuming
okay.
all, assuming that's all, should I comment already on the
Yeah,
question
yeah,
on ground?
please. Yeah, 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 yeah. Go on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just so I don't repeat the points Dr. Francis already mentioned, I will just add one more point. Yeah, truly, just to say this, not everyone actually can come into an Ivy League school because of, and I need you to approach this with a certain level of understanding. The best of the best wants to come into these places, and so sometimes if you are opportune to see the kind of people, the caliber of candidates that you're up against, you'll be justified in your not getting accepted. Like you'll be, oh thank God, no wonder I didn't eventually get accepted. I knew it. No,
Oh
because
my God.
sometimes if you are opportune to see the people that are applying alongside you, some of these people have lots of experiences from where they are coming from. They ace the came out with distinction, they got A's in all their grades at different levels. So it's, if you were in the interview panel or you in the admissions team, it will be difficult for you not to select those kind of people. So yeah, so I just had to add this. And so the point I want to make in line with what's already on ground that can enhance your chance of getting into this place, you have to first be an excellent candidate. I was talking to some people earlier that were looking forward to getting like scholarships. They wanted to know how to get a scholarship, and I was saying this to them: it takes a scholar to get a scholarship. Like, you don't become a scholar by getting a scholarship.
So type that
You are
out.
first a scholar. And it's that nature, it's that personality that attracts the scholarship. And so, if you have not trained yourself to be an excellent candidate, you have not worked on yourself. Like, even before, for instance, let me just comment on this briefly. Even before I got my Commonwealth Master Scholarship that got me the full funding to study at Imperial College London, I knew work experience was strategic. Beyond the fact that yes, I made the first class from Uniben, blah blah blah. I knew work experience was key. I spent 1 year doing my NYC, working at Enugu State University. For 1 year, I was not paid because I have a root from Nigeria. I was not paid, but I made sure I used that time to gain relevant experience that gave my CV weight. And guess what? When I was writing my Commonwealth essay, everything I was telling them, I don't know who is listening to this to me right now, but just whatever, everything I was saying, they were, yeah, they were with respect to what I was doing in Enugu State University. And who cares whether I was paid or not? I had to gain that work experience because, yeah. So it's about being strategic with your experiences, with your everything literally on your hand. Just trying as much as you can to attain that height of excellence, and yeah, boosting your chances. You can boost your chances by so doing. Yeah, that's me highlighting just one work experience as
Oh,
well.
Yeah, no,
Ejiro.
what's go on, go on, go on. You can go on, be allowed. Please.
So this I'm feeling like the Dr. Francis and David, they are all for years. It's not easy to get it. Yes,
Yeah.
I totally understand. They are trying to be very bluntly realistic, and
Okay,
I
you can
and I
balance. Balance
and I
wise.
yes, and I really understand the perspective from where they are coming from. But again, the truth is, irrespective of all the experiences, all the knowledge that you wield, again, if you don't present it very well, and I think Dr. Francis already said it,
Yeah.
if you don't market it, if you don't present it in a package that
Package.
is
It's all about package.
that is as that they understand, every other thing is in essence null and void. It won't do anything for you, which is why I said again, I'm not coming from, in quotes, an Ivy League school, but I had a research experience, I had a research knowledge, and I knew this job, I can get it if if I do one or two things better than I have been doing it. That's why I said I made use of the available resources and support. So even if you know you have the research experience, the background, the knowledge, the skills, yes, if they are calling the best of the best, you would be called. But if you don't know how to arrange that experience, that skills very well, you will fall short of the set they will be calling So again, whatever resources you have, it may not be like a careers consultant that you have access to and you can book a free appointment with, as in my case, yes. But whatever resources you have, do a SWOT analysis, pinpoint exactly the type of resources you have and how they can help you. Because the truth is, if you're approaching somebody to help you, one of my lecturers, I studied in University of Ibadan for my master's in public health. One of my lecturers will say, help is not help until the person you are helping acknowledges that it is help.
Oh my God.
So you
Okay.
must identify where you need help and be bold enough to say, this is where I want you to help me. This is where I want you to help me. And then assessing that, the person can still come up and say, okay, yes, you are right, you need help in these areas, but I have also identified that you need help in these areas as well. And with that, you'll be able to put your a strong foot forward. See, irrespective of whatever degrees and experiences the other candidates have, you will get it. So I would like to disagree a bit, not fully, not 100%,
Oh,
but
I'm
a
your
bit,
team. I'm your team. I'm your team.
a
Charity.
bit with Dr.
Team.
Francis and David. Anybody can get into an Ivy League school. The question is, are you willing to put in the work needed to get there? That's it.
You know, I'm really glad we have a very balanced panel. So it's good. It's all our different perspectives. That's why we have more than one panelist in this discussion. But I love something I learned from David. It takes a scholar to get a scholarship. That is David. Now, Charity, help is not helped. No, wait. Help is, say it again.
Help is not help until the person you are helping acknowledges that it is help.
Yeah. No, it's kind of, yeah, that's quite interesting. Thank you so much. And just a quick one, just to say to people from, hi to you, Gloria, hi to you, from Cameroon, hi to you from, yeah, Zambia. Those on Facebook are waiting for you on LinkedIn. Say hi to you, and oh, thank God for the balance. I can see that. Okay, good. Thank you, Gloria. We're glad you're enjoying this. Okay, so let's go to. I have questions from Dr. Francis, from David and Charity, but maybe we'll keep it because at the end, possibly, it might be asked by the participants. So let me ask a question on what are common mistakes again that people do that may be an hindrance to them getting into. I know you said packaging, but you can. That's just one. Um, in terms of work or in terms of admission, what common mistakes? I believe at times people keep repeating some things that they don't even know it's a mistake. So from your years of mentorship or application or things you did in the past that you now know better. So what are these things that people do that they're not even aware of that can be like a limitation for them?
Okay, who
Anyone
wants to
can
go
start.
first? Okay, David.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
happy
Francis.
to.
David,
I'm happy
let's
to
get it.
just chip
Yeah.
in. Just a few things.
Okay.
Sometimes this is something people do, and if you get the chance to review some people's application, you will just be like, it will just fall through at first sight. Try as much as you can not to patronize the university. It's already known, for instance, that Oxford University, yes, it's one of the highest ranking universities in the world. All of those kind of things. When you exactly apply, for instance, if you're applying for a PhD or maybe a master's, and you are applying to my lab or you are mentioning my name potentially as a supervisor, I want to see that you really understand what I do as a researcher. Don't tell me, I don't want to see your personal statement or your CV that, oh yeah, I'm applying to Oxford because Oxford is the best school. Like they see that a lot, and sometimes because the people there, they understand what it takes to sustain or manage working in that kind of research environment. And so when they just see people that are just trying to patronize them or use words like that, it's almost, yeah, I feel like it's almost like a red flag, like a very big one. And most times they don't like seeing that. For instance, I don't have to be too specifics, but I've been like working with a team where in my lab we were trying to hire a postdoc or maybe a potential researcher to work with us, and then some of the applications coming through, my boss was like, just seeing it, she knows that these people are just applying because they just want to come to Oxford. They don't even have an experience relevant to the role. You understand? And so sometimes those things can be quite obvious to see. Another thing, too, just a quick one that I feel also can stand against people getting through. I feel like many people are not exactly strategic with their application. So, for instance, you're applying to Oxford for a job. Let's say, let me now limit it to maybe a PhD opportunity or a master's or whatever. And you have not researched the school. You don't know that Oxford operates a collegiate system. You don't know that there are colleges, potential fundings you can get from colleges. So, for instance, maybe you're an African student, you want to apply for a PhD. There's a Ruben College that usually have like they have lots of partnership with like Oxford African societies. There's this Black African funding that you can easily get sometimes depending on the kind of colleges you choose. And generally, just applying to Oxford, let's say to for a PhD position, you will, if you don't have a scholarship, ideally you should be automatically considered for some college places here and there. So sometimes being strategic to do your background research before applying can also increase your chances. Yeah, I feel like those things are also key. So yeah, as much as possible when you apply, don't use generic terminologies. They see that a lot, and it's a big red flag. Yeah, don't use generic terminologies. Be specific, and yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Charity.
Okay,
The
thank you very
balance.
much. No, I was really enjoying hearing David speak because yeah,
Yeah.
he's sort of hitting the iron where it's hot. So off the back of that, what I'll add, and then like again, I'm saying I'm using myself as a case study now. So first and foremost, when you're applying, no one would most likely be seeing your face. UK here, they don't put pictures on CVs. No one would be seeing your face, but what they will be seeing is your CV. So organize your CV exactly the way you want to be seen. I knew I was applying for a research based role. I wasn't applying for a teaching role. So everything on my CV was screaming research skills, research experience. And I pushed the teaching roles below the CV. So they would have seen a lot of my research skills off page one, page two of my CV, getting to page three, page four before you start seeing anything about teaching. So I put my best foot forward based on the job description that was being asked. My research currently is looking at health communication, and this particular role was looking at mass media campaigns. So I extracted exactly that information that was needed for mass media campaigns, told them how I had worked with young people, how I had facilitated over 8 workshops in public and private schools in Nigeria. So I was indirectly telling them I have facilitation skills in case you need that. I also told them I had worked with young people and actors groups in Nigeria. We had produced a film, we had designed posters. So I was telling them, look, if you want to design posters, I'm there. If you want to make TV ads. I know how to do it. I know how to. So these are things I used to tailor my CV to exactly what they were looking at. Now, I did not have everything they wanted because I would say my skills tilt more strongly towards qualitative than quantitative. And I knew that. So I played up my strength a lot and downplayed my weaknesses in a way. Not that I don't have quantitative skills, but it wasn't as strong as my qualitative skills. So I upplayed that a lot. And then I knew a lot of people would come from the perspective of saying they know qualitative research, they know how to do thematic analysis and all that. But I took mine a bit up top notch. I took mine a bit above that. I told them, look, I don't just know how to do qualitative thematic analysis and all that. I also know how to analyze creative data, which would probably include arts-based data using creative methods, things like that. So they knew, okay, this is another level of being qualitative. So I really upplayed my strength in my application. And then another thing that I did is this is not based on CV now or based on the cover letter. I made sure I did those very, very well. I networked. And when I say I networked, in my research space, there are certain places we go for conferences and all that. I make sure I go there. I make sure I saw, okay, these are the people I might be working with, talked with them. I never mentioned my application, nothing. It was in the interview that someone told them, oh, we met Charity at the conference, this. So that didn't influence anything because I just went there just to see because at the end of the day, you are going to be working somewhere. You also want to see who you'll be working with. Is it a good environment? See, whether it is a top tier school, if it is not a good environment for you, please go to a in quotes, a lower tier school and get your peace of mind, it is better. So I wanted to know exactly who I was working with, which environment I was coming in into. So I was, as they were working on my CV, me, I was working in the background, knowing who exactly I'll be working with, where I'm going. So these are other things that can come into play and could also influence probably how you write. David was saying it, that people were saying, "Oh, is a Oxford University is a top university. This." I didn't really include those in my CV. I went straight to what they were looking for. I have it, and I think this and this is what I can bring into your research team. And by doing that, you put yourself forward, like Dr. Francis said, as somebody of value. And I think that works. So not just your CV, your cover letter, network. And I thank God the world is now a global village. You don't need to be there physically to network. You can attend virtual seminars, webinars, and then you meet a lot of people. Listen actively. There's active listening, there's passive listening. Listen actively and pick up the nuances of what people are saying. Ask intelligent questions that would make people know, okay, this person is not yet there, but this person is somebody that we are willing to invest in to make sure she comes out best. And like Dr. Francis said, they will have bragging rights. Yeah, so this is my own perspective. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Francis?
Well, what do you say when it almost looks like you've said it all? But I think what you should not do if you are targeting any of the Ivy League schools is shy away from imposter syndrome. I think it's a big issue. That we've all had our own fair share of imposter syndrome. Sometimes you just feel maybe you're not good enough. So in as much as charity tries to bring the balance, I always bring in the other angle. I think it's good to have a positive assessment of yourself, but don't be too critical and tell yourself, I'm not up to the standard. So go look at the profile of people who have been where you want to go to, see what they've done, see where they came from before they went into either the PhD or the job. Then check your profile. You must not have exactly the same profile with them because, yeah, everybody comes from different angles and everybody brings different value to the table. So even though it's the same department, you might be hired because you are from Zambia and they're actually looking for somebody that will bring the Zambian perspective to their research. And that's what they want. Forget, you might not have the big qualification they need, but they wouldn't have told you. They just need someone from Zambia that is above average, but can bring that Zambian perspective. And if you were from Zambia and didn't apply, then tomorrow you see a friend who you feel you are better than, got the job. You're like, what happened? How did you get in? So I think one of the major things is don't doubt yourself. At the same time, be realistic with yourself, because there's also a way that you keep throwing applications and keep getting negative results, and it will now discourage you further. But you need to ask yourself, did I meet the barest minimum to even apply? If you think you didn't meet the barest minimum, I still say it. Anybody can go to these schools. Take some time off, 6 months, 1 year, 3 months, depending. Build yourself for the next round. If you want to work in Harvard, if this year there's an advert, believe you me, next year there's going to be an advert for a slightly similar role. So if this year you check the requirements for the job and you see, Kai, you are not close to it, you mustn't have the exact qualifications. Most times we don't. Number of years of experience and whatever that they want. Sometimes almost nobody meets the mark. But if you see that you're close to it, fine. But if you honestly assess yourself and you see that you're not there, when I was at the University of Jos, one of the professors then said the first things he told us when we started, he said, know thyself. So you know yourself better than anybody. You know what your CV is. You know what should be there. You know what you can do. If you assess yourself and you feel that, look, I can do this thing, I have the basic minimum, then throw in that application. Don't be scared, because sometimes the problem is that people get discouraged that they can't do this stuff and they just keep pushing themselves to the back and realize that people that they are far more qualified than are actually in these places. And that's when sometimes they wake up. So Apart from that, I think the comments by David and Charity were mainly on point. I always say, put yourself in the mind of the person reading whatever you sent. If what you are submitting does not wow you, it will not wow the guy in London sipping his coffee or wherever. That's the honest truth.
Oh my God.
So we say package, we didn't say tell lies.
Yes.
There's a way I can take a very rusty car, wash it very well, take it to a painter, they paint it so well. The car might have a good engine but a bad body. But when I do the body so well, the car looks so attractive. And I'll tell you a little joke. When I was in the university, my first car, a friend then came into the car and said, Oga, the outside of your car and the inside, they are not matching, because the car on the outside was well painted, it was shiny, the pecs. But when you come inside, of course, there are some things. This car is still an old car. But so basically, you need to organize yourself and package yourself very well. Read your cover letter. If it's not good enough, look, the world, like we say, is a global village. These days, there's nothing you can't learn on YouTube and on when you Google stuff. The problem we have sometimes is that people think these things are easy. And I'll say maybe that's another thing that you need to not do. If you've been thinking this thing is easy, then you need to unlearn that thought. Now, the reason why some people might wake up tonight, see an advert that Harvard needs a researcher, somebody like Charity now, with her experience, if she wants to come to Oxford or Harvard or wherever, she can do the application overnight because she has experience. She has built it. If you've never done that, you can't do it overnight. Not because Charity has two heads or David has two heads. They are building on a wealth of knowledge they've gathered over the last 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
You have never done this, or maybe have only done it once. So you might need 1 month to get an application that's of the same quality as what Charity will put up in a weekend. So knowing this, you know that there's a lot of hard work. Because why I say this, you tell somebody, I've even as much as last week, I told somebody was recommended someone for a job, and they say write a cover letter and send your CV. And she sent her, I said, okay, draft and send to me. And I had to call her, I said, madam, even as your friend, even if I was the one giving the job, you send me this cover letter, I won't give you the job. I said, but it has all the things. I said, no, it doesn't have anything. And I said, go online and do the research. And this person had 24 hours to send the cover letter. And she sent it back. It was still not as good as it should be. I had to have another call. We kind of worked on it together, and she submitted. I wish her luck. But it shows you how sometimes not everybody has that opportunity to have someone that will read that letter again and say, no, it's not good enough. But to be honest with you, if you go online, I used to tell people, if you go online and read 20 personal statements or look through 20 solid CVs, you don't need to be told how to tailor your CV to be like how to make your CV. If you read 20 that wow you, then you now need to tell yourself, okay, how can I frame my CV to not look like those? But you tell somebody, go online and get a sample, he will read 2 essays and come and compose. So basically, I think one of my comment here, so that I can allow others speak, or next question to drop, is that applying whether for studies, for job, in some of these big organizations or schools, there's a need for quality. So quality takes time. If you are not that expert that has done it severally, then you would need to invest that time, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, and not compare yourself with a David or a Francis who can possibly just spend a few hours over the weekend, and by Monday, there's something that is good enough to go. You might need a week or 2 weeks to do that, because again, remember, we're all busy people. Applying for that job is not your only thing. So you are creating time. So please give it the attention it needs, because to be honest, like we said at the beginning, the people who go to these schools, the people who get these jobs, they don't have 2 heads. They are just like you. Sometimes you are even better than them. The only thing is that they believed in themselves and they invested the time and put in the work, and they saw the results. And then eventually somebody now say, oh, he knows somebody in King's College. That's why he got, his uncle works in Cambridge. That's why it's especially in this part of the world, most things are on merit. So it's in as much as, yes, networking has a way to assist and pull you up, but that might only be an advantage if, for example, Charity and someone else were having the same final score at the end of an interview. They both got 80-80. And they say, but we've met Charity. We had a nice chat with her at the conference. The other lady, we've never met her. On the basis of that, let's get Charity in. Not because Charity got 50 and somebody got 80 and they will give her the role because she met them at the conference. So yeah, networking.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
yes, thank you very much. You said it better than me.
So networking does help, but it will not. You need to get to the table where networking may now pull you in. If you just network and you send a rubbish application, just like I told my friend last week, even if I was the one hiring with that cover letter, so let me stop there and allow Ejiro continue to lead us. Thank
you. Sorry, Ejiro. I'm very happy that Dr. Francis said it this way, because I was trying to really give the impression that, look, getting the CV, the cover letter, everything is important, and then networking too also helps, but not that it is the only thing. Oh, totally no. I made sure I put in my best. I can't go totally explain everything in words, but I went the extra mile. My background, my professional background, I worked a while as an education consultant. So I've been helping people package their CVs and their statement of purpose, their personal statement for years. So I knew exactly what to do. So my career consultant was just telling me, okay, do this better, do this better, do this better. So the CV, the cover letter was strong. And I'm not saying that to sound very pompous or proud. I'm saying it because it's fact. I know what I put in there. I know what I wrote. I'm saying that because it's fact. So I knew it was good. But I'm also of the school of thought that I want to be comfortable where I'm working. I want to have this personal touch and know exactly where I'm going. And there's another thing I did when when they got in touch with me, that I was one of those they picked to come for an interview. They said, we are having it online. Would you like to join online on Teams, on Zoom for the meeting? Said every other candidates are coming online for it. I said, no, I want a physical one-on-one interview with you all. So I was the only person they interviewed in person. Every other person was online. I refused an online interview. That's me. I'm going there not just to be interviewed, but also to see with my two, according to our worry people, Koro eyes, who is also interviewing me, and to know, okay, should I be running the other direction or should I be accepting this? Because yes, I want to work in a very good research area, but at the end of the day, I want to ensure whoever I'm working with is somebody outside research. I can still say, oh, I like this person. I would be happy to work with this person in the future. But that's me. So every other person, every malam to young ketu, but that's me.
Thank you so much because we have people joining in from Tanzania, Oklahoma, and Cameroon, etc. When she mean Koro eyes, mean your clear eyes. we have a diverse audience. We need to interpret. So clear eyes. David, you're smiling. Do you want to say something, or should I move on?
No, yeah, move on to the next question. I don't want to.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. I just want to say thank you to we had other people putting their name in from Cameroon. Thank you. Thank you. I can't pronounce the name, so to be safe, thank you from Cameroon. Dr. Francis mentioned something because as much as we want to talk about Ivy League school, there's some people are not used to some terminologies. You mentioned imposter syndrome. I think I took note of that. You should just quickly tell them what that is because we have different audiences joining from different parts of the world. So they might not be used to that term. Can you just quickly say what that means? I think you're muted.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Great.
So basically, when I used the term, I was referring to you as an individual just feeling that you don't deserve to be in a particular position based on whatever criteria you use to assess yourself. Oh, I'm not rich enough, I'm not from a high income country, or I didn't go to an Ivy League secondary school or an Ivy League university for my undergrad, or I don't have the number of years of experience. So sometimes it could be used in two ways, where you already find yourself in a room, but you just feel you don't belong there, and maybe you got there by accident. But sometimes that could also be linked to your views about yourself even before you apply to a role, where you are now doubting yourself and feel, no, I don't think I'm good enough. No, I don't think I'm Harvard material. I don't think I'm Yale or Oxford material. The truth is, when you come around, you see that everyone around are still normal people. They are not perfect. They make mistakes. They all have the same doubts that you are even having, and they are not superstars. So don't doubt yourself. And so that's basically what we meant when we're talking about imposter syndrome, where you feel like you're an imposter, for you to even think that, I want to go to Harvard. No way. No boy from my town has ever gone abroad. Then I want to try going abroad. The first thing in my mind is Harvard. No, I'm not Harvard material. No, keep that aside and objectively assess yourself. And if you see you tick all those boxes, then when those thoughts come, know that it's some sort of imposter syndrome that's just making you doubt yourself, and try to fight it and believe in yourself and send your application. And you see that a lot of people are those magical stories that, the first boy in his village to go to university and he went to Oxford, and you are wondering if he was actually thinking about the fact that he's the first boy in his village to go to university and allowed it hold him back, then he would have maybe gone to another school, because he would have doubted, if I'm the first to go to university, maybe let me start with a smaller one and not aim for the big one. So, Ejiro, I think I'll stop there. Otherwise, I'll keep ranting.
Wait, thank you so much. I just want to say, first of all, to people, because one way to know what you want is to get resources. And Charity mentioned that use your resources. Now, some people might not have resources, but like the speaker said, the internet is your best friend. Like this discussion we're having as a resource, you can actually get information. I think I saw someone joining from Tanzania, and Tanzania is about 3 hours or 4 hours ahead. So it's quite late, and they're still listening. So this is a step in, like, to get information. So, like Mike said, some people don't want to do the work. You need to do the work. You cannot compare yourself to Charity or to David, like Dr. Chris said. Francis. So please, you need to invest in yourself, invest your time. So we have question on LinkedIn. And so let me quickly pop it. It's not popping up on the chat, so I'm going to read it from my phone. Permit me. So good thing the speaker is into health, and it happens that all the speakers today are health personnel. So this is Gift Uko from LinkedIn. She said, I am currently doing my master's in public health in the Netherlands. I am looking for PhD opportunities in public health in the area of maternal and child health. Do you mean a PhD is a job? Should I repeat that, or did you get it? Should I repeat the question? Or did you get it? Okay.
The person wants to know if a PhD is a job. I think it depends on where the person is coming from. In Germany, if I'm right, they do pay PhD holders like they are working. So, like, they don't work. They just focus on doing the PhD full time, and then they pay them like they would pay staff. But here in the UK, it's a bit different. People who get fully funded scholarships, they may not need to work because the full funding covers everything for the scholarship. Some people may get partial funding. That means they may have to work. In my own case, I'm working because the research area is something I'm passionate about. So whether I work or I don't work, I'm covered. Thank you. I think that's my understanding of the question, but I think maybe you, Dr. Francis or David, may have another perspective on the question.
No, I think it's same perspective. It's best to consider a PhD as a job, but I think have it in your mind that it's a low-paying job. But yes, it's a job more or less where you are doing research, working for the university and for yourself, trying to produce some research outputs. So I think that's the best way. It's school, but it's also some sort of job setting, because you are most times you are likely to be paid. Again, depends on the country and the setting, but in many settings you end up getting paid some stipend, which you could call some sort of salary at the end of the day. So yeah, it's best to consider it a job that doesn't pay that well. So the earlier you finish it and look for a better paying job, the better. Again, depends on how interested you are in the academia and other things. Because sometimes even when you transition on in academia, it's not as rosy financially as some other sectors. But yeah, PhD job, my answer will be yes. Thank you.
Yeah,
Just
and please, David. Yeah.
if you want to ask a question, you could just ask me. Maybe I then contribute after the question. Should I go on, or do you want to ask
No,
another?
please go on, go on, go on. Please go
Okay.
on.
Yeah, just to add to what they have said, if you are also considering it in terms of the application process, I think it can, you can as well regard it as a job, because trust me, more than if you are applying for maybe an undergraduate program, it is well understood most times it is based on your academic merits, whether you're able to pass your O levels, your A levels, whatever that is, at a very high grade. But when it comes to getting a PhD position, more than 80% of the time, they would always go for someone with more experience than, in quotes, academic merits, especially if you are looking to secure funding, right? So, and that's something with top schools, because of the quality of our applicants. Most times your experience would give you an edge. So I would just say to that person that is looking to apply for that particular role, you can as well apply since you already have like a master's background. But I hope during your period of doing a master's, you have been able to find a lab or work in a research area that at least you have been able to gain some significant experience, because it's something that is emphasized a lot for everybody that wants to do a PhD, especially in these top schools. They are keen about your experience. Yeah, so
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, we are cost of time, but let me just quickly say this to our audience. I will really advise, if you have questions, please do drop on the chat, and so that our speakers can attend to them. And if you want to contact David, this is just check the chat. I dropped the link to his LinkedIn page, or Charity on LinkedIn, or Dr. Francis. So you can just send in a connection request or a DM. Depends on whatever LinkedIn you're using. So now let's quickly spice it up a bit. So anyone can answer. Did you just wake up and say, I want to go to an Ivy League school? Was it like a child's dream, or it just happened, or you just found yourself there mistakenly? I don't know. What was it? Let's hear this. So
permit me to quickly comment on this. I think I already had in mind to share this. I'm just going to say this now. First of all, I feel like tenacity in the lives of young people is something that is fast lacking. Like, it is rare for you to see a young man or a young lady trying to achieve a goal that is deliberately working on for a long time, let's say for years. Many of us, sometimes when we try, I've seen people that say, oh, they want to go to Harvard, they want to go to this, after one or two applications they just give up. Some people that got even masters, fully funded master scholarship, they kept at it for 3-4 years, and every single time they kept improving themselves. So when you see people that are in Oxford today, it's not like most of them just got it at their first application. They knew they wanted to go to Oxford, and a lot of the time they had been preparing in the background in terms of gaining relevant experience. Just like when there's a job. There was one job one time I saw with ECOWAS or something, and I looked at this job. When I looked at the caliber of people they were looking for, even I knew that no, I cannot apply because I'm not yet there. But if I wanted the job, I knew one or two things I could have done to prepare myself. So in answering that question, I did not. I think I had the mind. I've always loved big schools, even when I've been in my kindergarten years. Not really kindergarten, that's too early. But when I've been in like secondary school and all of that, I was even telling my elderly ones, I don't want to go to a secondary school if it's not Cambridge, because there's this Cambridge High School then in my city where I grew up in Nigeria. I told her I didn't want to go to a school if it's not Cambridge school, if it's not Oxford. I just generally loved big schools. That is me. So I'm not really in Oxford because I feel like, I want to be able to raise my shoulders. No, I like being in a place where I know I can get the best out of it. And so it was something I kept at. So it's like I gave you an example when I started talking. Because I knew I wanted to like gain a Commonwealth scholarship, I knew I needed work experience. You will not believe that I spent one full year working in a university without pay. I was in Nigeria, there's something we call NYC, it's compulsory youth service. Because I know how critical that experience is. Normally, I was supposed to be posted to a university, but somehow I didn't want to leave my state of posting, and I needed to gain significant work experience. So when I didn't get the access to go to university by direct posting, I like told my, we call them LI, local inspector, then post me to a secondary school. But then when she did, I specifically went to Enugu State University to volunteer, and I worked for 1 full year without pay. But I gained significant experience, and I got people that wrote recommendations for me. So this thing, I'm just giving you an example. It actually takes time. When you want to get in here, prepare and don't just give up, except you really don't want it. So it also depends on how badly do you really want this. Is this something worth the pursuit? If it is, then I think you should be calm, pursue, and yeah, don't give up on your first try.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know David wants to leave; he has other appointments. So just thank you, and if you want to stay, please stay. But thank you all the same. Thank you so much. And I love that people want instant gratification. Not everybody wants to volunteer. People are not willing to volunteer. They just want to get everything on the spot. So thank you so much, David, for that. Charity, Dr. Francis, who wants to go next? Like.
Doc, should I go?
I don't understand you and Dr. Francis.
Doc, now my senior
I
Ghana.
know.
So, if I got you right, the question is if we sort out to say, oh, we're applying to a top tier school, right?
Oh yeah, or in your own words, you use your cocoa iron like yes.
Okay, so the way I probably because of my background, where I'm coming from, education consulting, you align whatever the goal is to the client's experiences and skills. So I never really sought out in quotes to apply to King's College London for a job. What attracted me first was not their logo, was the content of the job. So when I saw the content of the job, I knew, okay, this is the direction I'm interested in. It aligns with my research goals, with my research objectives. I would go for this. So that was the focus for me. It was never about the school. If another school had the same job, I would have applied immediately. So yes, it was never about the school for me. But now I'm really glad I'm there. I'm learning a lot, and then the people I'm working with, they are really great. Like there's something Dr. Francis said that this caliber of people, they've gotten all A's, different different awards, different recognitions, but working with them, it's not really in quote. They don't carry it on their shoulders or anything. They don't wear it like an armor. They're just daily people like you and I, just that they've been able to access a lot more than we have. But another thing I like about them is they are very open to ensuring you also have same access, build your skills. So it's a matter of are you willing to put in the work? It's one thing to get into these top tier schools. It's another thing to also work to remain there because it's not top tier for nothing. It's top tier
Yeah.
because they attract they attract a lot of things, and that's what makes them remain those top tier schools. So yes, for me it wasn't really about the school, but about the job description.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Francis, okay. Okay. So while we are waiting for him to okay, yeah, great. Dr. Francis, thank you.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you, please.
Okay, so I was so let me be honest.
Okay.
If I take anyone to a car shop and say pick any car, you will pick the most expensive car. There's no doubt. Maybe not the most expensive, but you wouldn't go for the cheapest car. You go for a car that at least, if it's free, you're not paying for it, then there's a strong likelihood that you would pick the something you'll be proud of, something that gives you some sort of bragging rights. And so that was the mindset that I had. when I was coming for my master's. That was the mindset I had when I was coming for my master's. Basically, that okay, who are the leading schools in the UK, and how do we get to those schools and make some impact? And same thing when I was coming for my PhD, coming to Oxford, because I did my master's jointly by LSE, LSHTM, London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and the London School of Economics. And when I wanted to do my PhD, it was more like, okay, if you've studied at LSE, where else do you want to go? It was more or less like, okay, let's take this a step higher. And for me, not necessarily like I'm bragging, but it was like, okay, let's take this a step higher. Which other schools are higher than this school in the ranking? And it was sort of Oxford and the other place, as we call it, Cambridge. And I made up my mind which I preferred and threw the application in. So I would say it was intentional, and I would still encourage anyone, whether it's a job or whether it's a school, when you are paying yourself, it now depends on how much you can afford, right? But especially if you're looking for a scholarship, like the Commonwealth Scholarship that most of us are on, then you ask yourself, it now replicates my initial statement of, you are in a car showroom and told to pick any car, then why not pick the most expensive car? So having that in mind, that was why I applied to the top tier schools, which happened to be Ivy League schools also. And the main thing was, just like with the car, I talked about bragging rights. In the Ivy League schools, there's a lot that comes with these schools. Sometimes they have more money when it comes to funding and opportunities. The alumni may be in a lot of, it doesn't mean that every other school, it has big alumni, but if you look at the proportion of what the alumni of some of the Ivy League schools are doing, it also seems to be higher. You have a higher number of them working in those top tier organizations, and you want to be part of that alumni network when you are done. Oh, I'm an alumnus of Harvard Business School or Yale or Johns Hopkins or Oxford. So those things were some of the things that said, okay, I want a great experience during my studies, but more importantly, when I'm done, remember, a job or your CV or a certificate is something that sticks with you for life, more or less. It's not something you just change. So if you have the opportunity to let that study be in one of the top tiers, then please, by all means. But again, I think I need to also give this word. I had some comments with some friends recently, and I gave this advice, and I'll still give it here. The fact that you did not go to the so-called top tier schools does not mean that you will not get to that place you were meant to get to, because that's another thing. It's good I emphasize this. There are a lot of people today who never went to any Ivy League. In fact, they checked their whole CV. They all went to averagely okay schools, but they knew what they were doing. They were resilient. They worked hard at what they were doing. And eventually today, some people who went to the Ivy League schools are their staff. They are the ones employing some of those guys. So the truth is, they say time and chance happen to everyone. Sometimes the time when you want to go to those schools, things may not align, and you may just have to go to university at a particular time, or you may just have to do a PhD at a particular time. So don't be discouraged that, oh, because I didn't go to Columbia University or I didn't go to Cambridge, then that means that goal I'm aiming to get, I wouldn't get it because, so no, there's no place that you cannot get to because you didn't go to an Ivy League school. Yes, it might not be as easy as it might be for someone who went to that school, maybe because he's in an alumni network, or like we said about networks, you need to be able to meet up with the job or the qualification required, but your network might pull you in. So somebody from that kind of environment might find it easier to cross those barriers. But if you meet the minimum expectation for a job or for a scholarship or for admission, then there's a strong chance that you would still get in. So my recommendation is, don't get discouraged, because I know sometimes some people feel, I didn't go to Ivy League school, I cannot work at the World Bank. No, I cannot work in the UN. No, I cannot hold this position or that position. No. you can do it. You may just have a little more hurdle than the other person, but I think at the end that even gives you bigger bragging rights. I know it sounds funny when I say it, but you cannot tell the other person, yes, you went to Harvard and I didn't go to Harvard, I went to one other small school, but are we not together in the same office? And that's the truth. So don't get discouraged that I didn't get. I'm not being negative, but I'm just being realistic that somehow, sometimes time and chance happen. But it's all what I always say. Sometimes I give people career advice, and when the discussion starts, they say, "Oh, I want guidance." The first question I ask is, "Tell me where you want to be in 20 years," and they're looking at me like, "Huh?" And I say, "Yes." It starts from now to think. If you are not thinking of where you want to be in 20 years, we can't have this discussion, because anything we are talking about career, we're just trying to map how you will get to that target goal. And then, of course, sometimes that's when some people realize that they've never thought about it, or the goals they set for themselves are really so low, and the career discussion even starts with, okay, let's go back to goal setting. I think you need to go and rethink where you want to be in the next 20 years or 15 years, because for now, I think you are selling yourself short. So let me stop here. You know I can talk a lot, Ejiro. So other questions.
Okay, just to add this, I read a story online about the man saying that he wanted to go to Oxford for his undergraduate. He couldn't go. MS he couldn't go. PhD he couldn't go. But now he's not a teacher in Oxford, as in he lectures there. So at least he got there, but he got there somehow. So yeah. Okay, I'm really conscious of the time, but we have some questions. Are you okay if I continue?
Okay.
Dr. Francis Charity, thank you. So this question
Sure.
is from Gloria. She mentioned, thank you all so much. Please, can work experience make up for grades? If my grade does not meet the minimum grade requirement, but I have relevant work experience, is it a good decision to still apply, or stick to schools that I met the minimum grade requirement? I think this was addressed, but you can just quickly touch it if you want to. I can go back and pop it up again just to see.
Charity, you want to?
Okay.
Or should
I will still just chip in, but I'll leave the bulk of the work to my boss because he's the man from Oxford.
King's College. King's College. Let's not start this drama here.
So, Gloria, first of all, Gloria, congratulations. I like this type of questions. Why do I like them? Because it means that other persons would be relying a lot more on their grades, which could be an Achilles heel. But for you, you are not relying on that. You are going to put a little bit more extra effort to sort of ensure you meet your peers up there. So yes, you can still apply. I'm not assuring you that you would get the admission, yes, but yes, put your best foot forward. Go for roles that would give you more experience. And one good thing about the UK setting that I really like is that experience is good. Experience is good. They love it. So it's if you go for job roles, trainings that would really improve and show that you are somebody who is committed to continuous learning, that you are much more than your grade, it will go a long way because most admission is on a case by case basis. You see it on some of their websites. They would say, if you do not meet these requirements, admission application would be addressed on a case by case basis. So why not? Your own case would be that case that it's a plus for them. So at the end of the day, you are bringing a lot to the table, much more than others who are just relying on their grades. So that's my own perspective. But I'm sure my boss has more to add. Thank you.
No, our boss.
Well, two of you. Unfortunately, in this case, I don't have much to add because she has said most of it. What I usually say, you never know if you can do something if you never tried. So, except there's anything limiting you, like maybe you need to pay application fees and you have a limited budget for that, or things of that nature, apply. The worst that you will get is an email saying, sorry, you didn't meet the minimum requirement. Of course, you knew. So you wouldn't even, those kind of emails, you won't feel bad because it's more or less you were expecting it. It's when the reverse happens that, oh, okay, we're inviting you for an interview. You'll be like, wow. So I would say your work experience may matter. Sometimes there's something they are looking for, they may not tell you directly. I was having a chat with some scholars doing some work in, I think, zoology or so from Nigeria and Uganda last weekend. And they were Commonwealth shared scholars. And they said that the reason why they were taking, their professors told them, one of the reasons why they were giving those funding and those opportunities was because the professors were trying to gain perspectives from those countries. So they were already at an upper hand. So imagine if you are now applying for a role and somebody else has all the grades, but he's from, let me, which country now? I don't know. Ghana, South Africa, wherever. But they are looking for somebody from Zambia. And you apply, and yes, you have a rich work experience, but the grades are just a little below the mark. But you packaged your CV, every other thing so well, that they think you might still be a good candidate. And because you have ticked that Zambia box of experience for them, you might get the job or the scholarship or admission ahead of those that have even higher grades. So in summary, just like Charity said, try your luck. You might get in. If you don't, you expected it, and you expected it wouldn't go anyway, so you won't feel bad. But if you do, it's now something to celebrate. So the final line on that will be, don't settle for less. So there's a reason why you wanted that bigger Ivy League school or whatever. So don't settle. But if you can't make it now, of course, if your timelines allow you to wait for and prepare yourself better, you can do that. If you don't have that leeway and you have to go this year, and it has to be another maybe less prestigious institution, by all means, there will be opportunities to still come back and still be at the top, even if you didn't attend an Ivy League school at this instance. I usually say, I've said it a few times, maybe I'll say it again. When I was going for my master's, I didn't bother applying to the Oxford and the Cambridges of this world, because I felt at that time I didn't have something to offer them. That's the truth. But when I was now done with my master's, I was like, okay, after doing this level, I think I need to go to the next level. So I think you should have that mindset of don't settle. Yeah, sometimes we actually do judge ourselves and feel we're not good enough. But if you have something else like work experience to support your application, even though provided the grades are not too low. Again, I believe in people being realistic. If they say they need IELTS of 7.5 and you have IELTS of 6, you are not being realistic if you still apply, for example, in my opinion. But if they say they want IELTS of 7.5 and you have 7, just try. A lot of things might work out and you still be called for an interview or given a place. So in as much as, yes, you are trying to try your luck, it's good to be realistic with yourself, because again, it's not magic. If it were magic, everybody would just throw in a weak application and get it. So I'll stop there. Ejiro, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Before we take the next
Permission.
Oh, please.
Oh, thank you. I forgot to add something, and as Dr. Francis was speaking, I remembered. So yes, we talk about your experience, your skills, and I don't know if I think is it Gloria who asked that question?
And what exactly? Second Tracy?
I can't remember the
You
person's
want
name.
Drake?
Sorry, what?
This one?
The person that asked about the grade, yes, the one about the grade. It's
Yes,
Gloria,
Gloria.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
Gloria. So Gloria, another thing you can do, I'm not sure if you are in the health research sector, but another thing you can do is you have your BS. If you have your BSc, if you have your masters already, I'm assuming you are aiming for a PhD, right? But however it is, try and get your publications out. I was lucky enough to have supervisors who encouraged me to publish my project from my BSc, project from my master's. So I had like publications already before I attempted the PhD journey. So that would also help. So that's another thing to also show them that irrespective of the grade you have, it may just be circumstance. You are much far bigger than your grade, because if you have something published from a grade that was in all quotes, okay, she said Gloria said is in management and she has a master's, please go publish, target a journal that their goals and their objectives align with the research gap or research area you are doing, and publish there and have it in your LinkedIn or your Linktree profile, whatever. Just have it there. It shows. It goes a long way to show that, look, irrespective of the grade, you are the best candidate.
Thank you so much. Speaking about PhD, I want to guess it's like a quick game. So, Dr. Francis and Charity. So, for someone doing a PhD, what should be number one in the balance? So, what should be the choice? Is it Ivy League school or supervisor? Okay, who's answering that? No, it's your own thinking, so it's fine. No judgment. Whatever you say is fine.
So,
It's your own perspective.
I'm always biased when I'm asked this kind of questions.
Okay.
Now, I'll say Ivy League school for one reason.
Okay.
Because you've never, it's just like, okay, well, a marriage might slightly be different, but you do not know the supervisor yet. You cannot bet on anything. But I know an Ivy League school is an Ivy League school. I can take that to the bank. Because supervisor, maybe we've had one or two emails, he's sounding nice. I can't guarantee what will happen when I'm really his student. I agree that for a PhD, one of the most important things is your supervisor. If you have a bad supervisor, you are in trouble.
Oh yeah.
But if that question was to come, again, this would be my judgment call. I will go for the school, except in a situation where I have overwhelming evidence or knowledge of the fact that this is a bad supervisor. There may be, but in many cases, I don't know, like myself and I think many others, you've never really worked with your supervisor before, except maybe you were lucky to do a master's in that school, maybe work with them as a research assistant before they became your supervisor. In that case, maybe you know these people. But otherwise, I think up to 80% of PhD students have never really worked closely with their supervisors and maybe just interact with them via email, look at their profile, see that their research interests align, and then tell them, oh, I want you to supervise me. So if I'm going in blind like that, then I'd rather go for the school first, because I might say, oh, this lady smiles a lot, and then you go in and you see that the lady is something else. So it's better for me. I'll go with the one that I'm more certain about, which is the prestige of this.
Okay, 1 point. Charity, let's see what we have. Not
Okay.
supporting us.
Debate now.
Balance. So I know. See, I have to be realistic. I understand what Dr. Francis is talking about.
Yeah.
That when push comes to shove, go for what is technically the best place.
What you can see.
For me, maybe I always approach things like this from another perspective. So in my own case, my advice would be for the person who may be in this position that we are talking about and we are laughing is whatever you believe in, pray. Because the truth is you don't know what will happen 50 years from now, 100 years from now. So just prayerfully select, because all that glitters isn't really good. In my own case, I would use myself as an example again. When I applied for the Commonwealth scholarship, the Commonwealth would give you 3 options, 3 schools, 3 supervisors. 2 of my supervisors supported my application. 1 outrightly rejected it immediately at that point. So I knew, okay, I'm down to 2 schools. But now I'm very, very happy that I didn't go to those schools. I'm very happy I came to this particular school where I am, because I don't think the peace of mind I'm enjoying now, any other supervisor could have given it to me. So just pray. Pray whatever you believe in, and then use your inner eye to really see where you should be going. And then irrespective of whether it's Ivy League or not an Ivy League school, everything will work out for best for you at the end of the day.
So let's see, we'll win. Well, let me just make one decision. For me, I pick both. Okay, so we have just questions. I think we'll stop at this question. This one is from Kwama. To everyone, besides the Commonwealth and Sheridan Scholarship, how can one fund a master's program at Ivy League University in the UK?
For me, this part, my advice would be just go on jobs.ac.uk or go to find a PhD or find a master's in your case and look for projects that already have funding. So jobs, yes, thank you, Ejiro. Jobs.ac.uk, or you go to find a master's or find a PhD, any of these. Look for projects that already have funding and that specifically say they are accepting international candidates. That if you're not a UK or British citizen, so that's a starting point for you to see other means of getting funding outside of the Chevening and the Commonwealth scholarship. And then if your another thing you could do, if your research area is really niched, you can focus on the schools that are really well aligned to that research area and see what funding they have within the school that is specifically available for that research area. There are also fundings that are specifically available for people from low middle income countries, people from Black ethnic minority backgrounds. So just spread your wings as much as you can and then network. Information is power. You might get information from where you least expect.
Thank you. And Francis, please.
So yeah, how can you fund a master's program at an Ivy League university? The beauty of most of the Ivy League universities is that they have a lot of money. And because they have a lot of money, many of them have a lot of scholarships, particularly for people from low and middle income countries. The problem, again, goes back to what we said at the beginning of this discussion, is that a lot of our people are not aware and do not take out time to, what's the word now, to go and research. So if you go, my advice to fund a master's or even a PhD in any of the Ivy League universities is to go to the school website and search. Your first starting point will be the general funding page. For a master's particularly, your first starting point will be the general funding page of the university website. You will see the list of all the scholarships and you'll be amazed that there's a lot you didn't know about and a lot you might be eligible for. And then you try your luck. For those applying for PhDs, apart from looking at general funding in the website, that's the funding website of the university, go to the websites of all the departments that you think you can do a PhD in. Like for Oxford, for example, if you are a researcher in health, we have almost 5 different departments that you can situate your PhD research in, regardless of where it is. They all do similar, they can accommodate almost, and not all kinds, but almost any kind of PhD research if you find a supervisor in that area. So many a times, researchers, professors advertise the projects that they have on the university website. So if you didn't, on the department's website, they will say, oh, I have this research idea. If you're interested, contact me. Most times for them to throw those applications open, that means they have funding. They're just looking for the PhD student that meets the standard, that is interested in the topic, and that has met minimum criteria to get admitted. And you have so sometimes it's almost as if it's an easy way in. Yes, it's competitive, but again, you're also not sure how many people will apply. Because if everybody doesn't search, and at the end only 5 or 6 people apply, then you see that the competition is now very little and saves you the stress of joining the whole Commonwealth and Chevening competition, more or less. So my advice would be that check the university website. That's your best resource. Because even if I know they are funding from different foundations, MasterCard Foundation, Schlumberger, most of these organizations will still advertise, their scholarships will still be advertised on the university website. So instead of going to check, is so foundation giving scholarship this year or just go on the university site, particularly for masters. So for Oxford, for example, if you are from sub-Saharan Africa, I know there was someone from Netherlands on the call, but if you are someone from sub-Saharan Africa, the AFOC scholarship just got expanded to about 40 people this year. Formerly, when they started, it was only 2 or 3. Now they've got funding for almost 40 people. And once you are from Africa and you apply and your application is good enough to get an admission, you're automatically considered for the scholarship. So without applying to Chevening or Commonwealth, you can get funded by the university through the AFOC scholarship. And there are several other scholarships like that at the University of Oxford. So, and I'm sure a lot of other universities have those pockets of scholarship that if you didn't go and search for them, you wouldn't really know, or except somebody working in the finance team tells you, there's this scholarship, there's this woman or man or company who has given an endowment and we can fund 2 students this year, 5 students. So I would advise that whatever school it is you want to go to their website and do your homework. The truth is, like I always say, many people leave these things for last minute because they assume or they think it will just come to them. Please, you don't hustle for this thing, it won't come. So if you don't go and do your homework now, search the website, see what you're eligible for, you wouldn't know that it's there, and then you'll miss it. And tomorrow you see another person going to Oxford. I say, I know that guy. Mom does not have money. How did he afford Oxford? Well, he just had information that you didn't have, and it's not like it was privileged. It was open on the internet. He searched and you didn't. So please, if you really want to go to an Ivy League school and you don't have funding, yes, apply for Commonwealth, apply for Chevening, MasterCard. There are some standard scholarships that are known in specific universities, but like Commonwealth and Chevening for masters particularly are cross-cutting to any university in the UK. But beyond that, go to the university website and check, because most of these universities, they have money, endowments here and there, so there's always one opportunity or the other, and you'll be amazed what you will see. You say, it looks like there's so much. It's now, the question now is, are you now that competitive candidate that can win the scholarship? But if not, I can bet you there's a lot of scholarships. Even, at least I can speak for Oxford, there's so much scholarships for people from Africa. The question is, how strong a candidate are you if you can get it? So let me stop there and hand back over to Ejiro.
Thank you, Charity. Do you want to say anything, or should I continue?
No, please continue.
So thank you so much. I know we are way past a good time. So I'm going to just say this and ask our speakers to give like advice, but from different perspective. Okay, but Francis, thank you. Let me continue. So just to say, give last advice or advice to people, but from different perspective. Maybe Charity can talk about people that, let's say, people that don't have resources, because let's be honest, not everybody have the same opportunity that some people have. Maybe they don't have mentors, they don't have finances to get enough internet to do research. But people that don't have resources, but you think there's a way, practical step they can do to help them to assess or get information to help them in their admission or their job search. Then for then other advice you can also add to that. Then for Francis, people that have applied for like 4 or 5 times, because at times it's exhausting. I met someone that applied for Chevening 10 because it's on the 10th application. When I heard, I was like, oh my god, 10 times. So as much as you know that you have to keep applying, but it's a lot. So you can give advice on that in addition to any other advice. Then I'll call it a night. So who wants to start? Let's see. Anyone who wants to start?
Let me start because I know my Oga will finish work, please. So let me start.
He's only finishing me, yes.
So about resources. Okay, so I know Ejiro rightly said not everyone has access to a lot of resources, but one thing I do, I'm always looking for new information using YouTube, and lucky for me and for many persons, there's a vast array of resources that is available on YouTube, and for free. You'll be surprised. There's a vast array of available resources. There's a lot of persons on YouTube that is giving people step by step how to apply for these scholarships, tips to use. A lot is ongoing. Please be open to learning. And I think that's one of the things that David made mention of, that you must first be a scholar before you get a scholarship. Part of being a scholar is being open to learning. You have to be very, very open to learning new things. A lot of the time, things that we are looking out there for maybe just near us, but we may not know that is there. So another thing about getting resources is, um, I've been able to sort of know the strengths of people around me, and I maximize it. So this is not just about maximizing resources on YouTube now. You could have someone, for instance, who is working in, let's say, someone who is working in the health sector in Nigeria, someone who is working in the Department of Health Promotion. These people have strong implementation skills when it comes to implementing interventions in communities. Like, they have strong skills when it comes to that area. So people like that, when you are able to ask, when you are able to gain information from them, they can easily tell you if certain things are feasible, have been done, or isn't already done. I'm speaking for the health part because this is my own area now. So people around you as well, you can also access resources from them. When I say resources, I'm talking about materials, I'm talking about advice, I'm talking about support, I'm talking about information. These are all that I'm encapsulating in to mean resources. So these are just some of the ones off the top of my head that I can easily mention right now. But if I think of any other thing, I'll check my let me just check, see what else that I still have somewhere. 'Cause I know I have others somewhere. Thank you. Hopefully this helps someone. I hope so.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Francis, oh my God, please.
Yeah. So, well, just to add to that, in the last year or so, we've seen the magic that AI brings. So I don't see why you shouldn't use AI to at least guide you. I'm not saying you should ask AI to write your essays, because that would be, what's the word now, malpractice, more or less. But at least with a lot of AI tools now, you can modify your CVs, see what a standard personal statement, cover letter should look like, and then you can now tailor yours to something similar. So that's an additional resource. And just to add to what Charity said, I don't think there's anything that you are looking for that's not on the internet. Now it's even made easier with AI. So please, the problem is it's a lot of work to do. So you have to do the work. Just as a personal example, I remember when I was trying to apply for my MSc scholarship, I used to wake up every night for almost at least an hour, almost every night, just reading random stuff. Oh, tonight I'm just reading somebody's personal statement. Tomorrow I'm reading about how to write CVs. Next tomorrow I'm reading. It added up over several months. By the time I now put my application, all those knowledge built together, and sometimes you are spending a whole hour searching the website of a university. So you need to take your time to do the work. Nobody's going to give it to you. Of course, sometimes you might get lucky. A colleague or a friend says, take this information. But in most cases, you have to go and search for those resources because they're out there, and most of them are even free. Yes, sometimes you may need to pay some coaches. If you can afford that, fine. But otherwise, you do your homework and get these things. It will only cost you data for the internet. On the question of those who have applied severally, as Ejiro said, there's no easy way to put it. It's a painful place to be. I've had to be there myself. Yeah, maybe not as much as 10 times, but at least I had to apply more than once before I got my MSc scholarship. And I was quite distraught when I got the message. In my case, it was funny. I was on reserve, so I was so hopeful. I'm gonna go, and then eventually I got the email. So I had planned. I'm going, but eventually that email came. Oh, sorry, you didn't make it out of reserve, and try again. And yeah, but I think the main advice is you have what it takes to go there. Be honest with yourself. I always say I like being realistic. do you think you meet the minimum criteria for this scholarship? If yes, then go back and reflect. It's likely there's something you're not doing right. Maybe you are just not packaging yourself well enough. And you need to be able to convince yourself that my application this year was better than my application is better than my application next year. Or sorry, rather, my application next year is going to be better than my previous application. So ask yourself, what could I have done wrong? There are people who they submit their essay this year, they don't get in. They submit next year, they now get in, but they now mess up at the interview. Then they now try the next year. They now learn lessons from the interview. I have a person like that now who just sent me a message actually today that I just got shortlisted for Chevening interview in Nigeria. But this was somebody who 3 years ago, the first struggle, or almost 4 years ago, the struggle was, can I even get to interview stage? And the person didn't get in the first time, the second time. By the third time, she got to interview stage, but she didn't do well in the interview. And now this is the fourth time. And now I'm hoping that this person will be lucky to get in. So it's a difficult situation. But I think the main thing there is don't let it discourage you, because you know that if you have the minimum qualification to get in, then just keep trying. When it's your turn, it's going to happen. But make sure as much as possible you learn lessons. If sometimes there may be no lessons to be learned. I like being honest about that. You might have done your best and you can't do better than your best. Yes, but try again. But sometimes if there's a lesson to be learned or something you can improve, then do your best to see that the next version of your application is an improvement on the last one. And then, as Charity said, whatever you believe in, there's always a God factor in this thing. Sometimes God might say it's not meant to happen. I had a final example. I had a friend who wanted to go for Chevening. He told me Commonwealth, whatever. You know, there's that Chevening Commonwealth banter. Let's not go into that now. But he said he was a Chevening scholar. He's a leader, blah, blah, blah. But he applied for both. Unfortunately for him, he made some mistakes when filling Chevening, such that the computer automatically calculated that he had only 6 months work experience. It was just an error in putting dates. But immediately he submitted the application. A month later, he got an email saying he was out. And I told him something is wrong with your application. And when he checked, he saw the mistake. And I told him that was your mistake. But luckily, this person got a Commonwealth shared scholarship and came to do a master's in Oxford. So it's just try your best, put your tentacles out, but there's a God factor to it. So when you do your best, as on a final note, one of my mentors will say, work as if it all depends on your hard work on the one end, then pray as if it all depends on your prayer on the other end. So if you do these two, eventually, if it's the prayer that will make you work, it will work. If it's the hard work that make you work, it will work. But don't just do all the work and forget that there's a God factor, or do all the praying. That one is even worse. Do all the praying and think it's magic that the scholarship will automatically be given to you as a gift from God. You are your own. So I think that's a good way to, end it for me. So believe in yourself. Yes, if you don't get the scholarship this year, keep trying. Just like Jiro said, somebody got it in the 10th attempt. And a lot of scholarships and fellowships, there are a lot of testimonies about people who have had to do it severally, learn lessons along the line before they finally got what they wanted. And sometimes it may just not be what it's meant to be. You maybe reflect and look for something else, but don't just be discouraged that you're not good enough, because I think the main final point is don't let it now weigh you down to now think less of yourself and now think that have low self-esteem that I'm not good enough. No. Know thyself. If you are worth it, you know you are worth it. Don't deceive yourself. If you've not gotten to maybe that qualification, that grade, or your essays are not quality enough, you yourself will know that it's not good enough, then you work on it. But if you are sure you've done your best, then at least don't just get a low self-esteem because it didn't work. It will now be even more to push you even further down, because now you may not even have confidence to even aspire for even other simpler things, because you are now feeling that you are not worth it and having low self-esteem. So I'll stop there. I can go on, and it's been nice being on this call, and happy to always chat with Ejiro and Charity in the room.
Okay, thank you so much. Know thyself, be honest with yourself, to be a scholar before you can get a scholarship. Something about liked and helped by charity. I'm just picking out this new something. But thank you so much. And thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Carmen, everyone for joining on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube here. Thank you so much. And like I mentioned, as I was displaying on the banner, and we have a Q&A section tomorrow. We also have the Maracoli Fellowship happening, I think, next week. So apart from one thing about this session is you get to ask your question and get feedback, which is a good thing. I think it's a good resource which we should take advantage of. And also you get to know about other scholarship. Like I didn't even know about the scholarship until Dr. Francis mentioned it. Oxford, I had no idea. I had to go and do a quick search. So apart from getting your question attended to, you get to get inspiration and you also get to know about other opportunities or scholarships out there. So please do the work like I say, take advantage and keep winning. I think we are good. Any last final good? So thank you so much everyone and see you. Bye.
Thank you for the
All
opportunity.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.